See you.
All right, we are going to start. It's Wednesday, October 25th. We're at the Public Safety Commission meeting held at the City Hall Conference Room on the second floor. It's a hybrid meeting. This meeting is being recorded by the Public Safety Commission. If anyone other than the city or the commission are recording the meeting, you must notify the chair at this time. Is anybody recording the meeting? I will take that as a no. Mass General Law 30, Section A, Section 30A, Section 20. No person shall address the meeting of the public body with permission of the chair. And all persons shall, at the request of the chair, be silent. No person shall disrupt the proceedings of the meeting of the public body. If, after clear warning from the chair, a person continues to disrupt the proceedings, the chair may order the person to withdraw from the meeting. And if the person does not withdraw, the chair may authorize the council or other officer to remove the person from the meeting. Perfect time. I will take a roll call. Commissioner Jarvis.
Here.
Commissioner McMahon.
Here.
Commissioner Lenoy.
Here.
Commissioner Burge will not be here. Commissioner Moscaratolo is here. Excellent. I passed out the meeting minutes from the last meeting. If you guys want to give me a, if you want to do a motion to first and second, we can approve them or discuss them. Anybody has questions?
I know.
Did a great job. And anybody's ready? Take a motion. I think it'll be okay to send these out to everyone when you send them out.
What's that?
You can send them out to all of us.
Oh, I can? Okay, I'll do that.
Yeah.
Yep. I'll distribute them today. I'm all up to date with the mayor's office.
Very good meeting.
Pardon?
Good.
Oh, thank you.
Make a motion if people are ready.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to accept as presented.
Second.
All in any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Excellent. All right, public comment. Is there anybody online? Let me see if I have to enter anybody right now. Looks like I don't. Is there anybody in person that would like to speak for public comment? No public comments. Okay. All right, we will move on. Patrick, you're up first.
All right. Good evening, everybody. Glad to be here. From the AMR perspective, I'd like to just share that Kim D'Angelo would have liked to have been there. She's attending her rehearsal for her daughters this evening and was planning on jumping on probably 5 or 10 minutes late, but I told her that I would do the meeting for her so she could enjoy some family time. So in terms of recruitment and retention in the Greenfield division, paramedic and EMT wise, we are doing well. We have no loss of personnel. If anything, we have now added personnel. We're adding 4 new EMTs and 2 more paramedics to our staffing in the Greenfield business unit. So that's a strong addition for our staff and for retention numbers and additions. So we're pretty happy about that. I'm going to move on. I know it's been, I think, 2 months, so I'm going to have an August report and a September report. They're in the same format. I'd like to try to give you a visual. I know they got emailed to you, and I'm not sure if I'll be able to or not, but just give me 1 second, and I'll see if I can put that up on the screen for you, if you don't mind. Let's see.
I don't know if I have to share it.
You might have to co-host it.
I might have to co-host it with you.
Okay.
And we all received them too, so.
All right, I can talk my way through it then. That's fine. So for the month of August, we had a total of 509 responses in the area of Greenfield. Of those 509, 273 of them ended up being in transports. A total of 125 calls got canceled, and 86 of them got passed to Greenfield for mutual aid. Of the overall call volume for that month, our average response time for August with all acuity levels, which goes from alpha to delta, was 8 minutes and 31 seconds, with the highest acuity delta and echo averaging under 7.5 minutes. Greater than 75% of all call volume fell in the under 10-minute or less category, with 29% of that volume being in the 5 minutes or less. So that is the month of September. August, I'm sorry. And for the month of September, quite similar. We had a total of 427 calls, so about 80 less. Summer tends to be a little higher. We had a total of 106 calls that were canceled, 68 that were just dry runs, which means we just never got on scene, and 64 mutual aid responses through Greenfield. Again, the average response time for our highest acuity calls, the Delta and Echo, is under 8 minutes. Our average response time for all calls in the area averaged 9 minutes and 2 seconds. And once again, 75% of all calls were under 10 minutes, with 27% being 5 minutes or less. I did not receive, either for the month of August or September, any official complaints or incidents that were filed to us for investigation, and I'm not aware of any that were forwarded to the Public Safety Committee. I'm open to any questions or any comments if you guys have any.
Any questions or comments from folks? I think we're good, Patrick.
All right.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. Have a great night.
Thank you for all the info.
Absolutely.
Okay. Next up is fire department updates. You want to come up and join us? Sure. And I've been having, just for the Zoom, if there's folks on Zoom, just state your name and who you are, your position, just so that, because they wouldn't know, you know, some people might not know who you are.
Sounds good, Commissioner. Will do. Captain Cooley, Fire Department. Chief Strahan would like to be here tonight, but he had a family commitment that he's addressing. So he requested I come provide the fire department report. Construction update, still moving along, starting to close up the building. Doors are coming on, paint's going on some of the walls inside. Move-in date is going to be January. Capital update, still requesting 6 items. The tower, which the chief spoke to last meeting, which is the mid-mount ascendant aerial. The only change there is originally, when we got it quoted, is at 2.2, but at this point, the schedule that would be on for delivery, it would be at 2.5. We're also looking into getting ballistic vests. We're trying to outfit all of our members with ballistic vests, primarily to meet the NFPA 3000 requirement for active shooters and hostile event response, as well as the increasingly challenging environment that all first responders are operating in. Also looking to do a cruiser replacement in the capital update.
What was the ballistic vests? Was it 50?
The cost of the ballistic vest?
Price tag, did you have that?
I don't have the exact number, but I can get that for you.
I know, it's okay.
And none of those expenses will be incurred as leases are under the operational budget. In terms of emergency management, we have a new drone that has increased capabilities from the old drone. It's a purchase between multiple communities. Training has taken place with all the departments. It's been placed in service. It's been on 2 responses already to assist in a couple of rescues, including one response where previous drones that the team had would not have been able to operate due to the lack of light nighttime and the rain. To help rescue some climbers in Irving, I have some details regarding that from Lieutenant Kimball, who's in charge of the drone team. Has night vision, dual thermal cameras, and a 4K camera on board. Laser rangefinder with GPS tagging and triangulation, weather resistance up to 25-mile-per-hour winds and rain. One of the deployments was in Montague, the other in Irving. Also, he sent me a great night vision video of the rescue in Irving. We were able to send rescuers to the top of the trailhead via the tech rescue team. There were 2 victims stuck on a 10-foot rock ledge, 45 feet down. So the drone was able to get us visual contact to figure out what sort of resources and assets we needed to effect that rescue. So it's already been extremely useful coming into play in the city and in the county. Other than that, we have our 2 new recruits who were sworn in and have started training in-house. One is scheduled to be assigned to his permanent group in the coming weeks. The other is going to be assigned to the State Firefighting Academy in January. We completed pump and hose testing this month, went live with Community Connect for Fire Prevention Week, which allows the community to log on online and provide us with any information about their home and family that our responders could use in the event of an emergency to better serve them going forward. At some point, we'll also be able to request permits, inspections, smoke detector installations, stuff like that through the internet that way. We've been able to start doing online billing for permits and inspections via the app as well. And we participated in the GCC hostel event tabletop with other agencies from the area, including everybody who's here tonight. And that was a very effective, good exercise for us all to be involved with, thinking about that going forward.
Do you anticipate the drone to be helpful with fighting fires as well as rescue?
Absolutely, especially in the event of like a larger scale fire. It can give us 360 situational awareness, gives us an idea of where the fire is, the condition of the building, especially in a larger building. There's actually footage of the Chapman Street fire that was pre-drone, but back then you would have to call in the State Police Air Wing helicopter to get you footage of an incident of that size. Now we have the capability in-house to deploy something where we could find the same information. Again, primarily, search and rescue, natural disaster reconnaissance, but could be deployed in the event of a fire as well.
And then you're saying that the professional association that you subscribe to nationally is recommending that firefighters have bulletproof vests when responding.
Yeah, so the NFPA, the National Fire Protection Association, they are based out of Quincy, Massachusetts, but they make the recommendations that are adhered to pretty much throughout the United States and Canada, anywhere from fire codes for sprinklers and alarm systems to what kind of gear firefighters need to wear to response times that firefighters need to adhere to and fire departments need to adhere to. They came out a few years ago with a new guideline called NFPA 3000, which is the guideline for response to and recovery from and preparation for active shooters and hostile events. And within that, they require ballistic level protection for responders.
I mean, you guys already have so much equipment. I can't imagine like having to also wear that. It seems like that's like an added burden for your.
It's, it's a challenge. Our equipment's always a challenge, but, we're used to wearing heavy equipment and we train to overcome those challenges so that we can focus on the serving the public and treating patients rather than worrying about the constraints of our equipment and everything.
Right.
And unfortunately, in those situations, it is needed.
Alex, the drones, you share that with the PD also, right?
Absolutely. There are members of the drone team.
That was being used by both departments.
Yep.
Just wanted everybody to know that.
Lieutenant Haskins is I believe the lead police department for the drone team.
And also you could use the drone for hazmat on the highway. So you put the people in danger. That's another aspect of the drone, just going through my memory.
Going into any hazardous environment, anything that would be immediately dangerous to life and health for human responders gives us that reconnaissance capability without putting people in harm's way.
Excellent tool.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's going to be great for just being able to be a little more distant from things that could be potentially hazardous for the firefighters.
Absolutely.
Can that, the unit that you control that with, is that goes to the scene, or can it be also at the station? Is it right there, and can you broadcast the video back to the station, or?
I'm not positive about the broadcast capabilities. The range, I'm not sure exactly what the range is. I believe, though, the FAA requires that at all times you have line of sight contact with the drone itself for safety. I could be wrong there, as I'm not a drone pilot myself.
So, any other questions? So we might have, when we get down to the discussing the capital budget, we might have a few questions.
Okay.
I do have the details for the cost for the three items, when we want to discuss them, if the other commissioners didn't pick that up on what Bob sent over to us. So we'll discuss that. All right, thank you, Captain Cooley.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Okay. We have dispatch updates next. Hello, good evening.
I am Cindy Hunter. I'm the communications supervisor for Greenfield Police.
Good to see you.
Good to see you. So let's see. So something new. Yesterday, our new recording system was installed. It's up and running. Dispatch now has access to it. They have entered back to 2013 records. I'm not sure what the plan is for back further. I assume that will be done at some point, but so that is up and running. So we're happy about that. We also had our first training class today that we hosted, our cultural diversity class, and I got some really good feedback about that as well. So that went well. And I, again, highly recommend the Transit Center if anyone ever needs a conference room. They were very hospitable, and it's a great facility if you ever need it. I was speaking to Lieutenant Dodge today and yesterday about our construction project. The bids have still not gone out. From what he tells me, the engineers and the city central maintenance are talking, figuring out what central maintenance perhaps can do in the project, kind of getting what sort of a list of what they can do, so that will take away from the actual numbers of the cost of the project. But he's expecting that soon, from what he tells me. We did have a little bit more overtime this month. We did have 2 people out for the entire month. One is on a leave, the other is on bidded vacation time. So that kind of hurt us a little bit. And we did have one other person who had a couple weeks of bidded vacation time. So, but fortunately, only 8 hours of all of the overtime, which was about 240 hours, was actually forced time, meaning that no one had actually volunteered for it. So we're very, very lucky that we do have people who will volunteer for overtime. So, and we did have 44 hours covered by one of our per diems, which we appreciate. We know she has a lot going on, but we appreciate her. Let's see. I anticipate that November will be much better for our overtime numbers. We'll have our 2 people, or one of our 2 people that was out back. And we do have our vacation relief spot, which covers for our person who's out more long-term. So hopefully the numbers will be better next month. And we don't want to burn anybody out. So we're keeping an eye on that as well. As Captain Cooley said, we were also invited to the tabletop exercise at GCC, which we appreciated. It was very interesting. It was in regards to school threats. And I was very impressed with how everyone gave what they gave to it. And we definitely, going forward, will be involved with their public safety. And I know Lieutenant Haskins was there, and he and I had talked about it a little bit. So hopefully we're going to be collaborating and putting together some information for that. And really the only thing I guess on the horizon for us is that we're still in need of our new radio system, which I'm sure the deputy chief and the chief will talk about. It's less of it's a want and a need. Definitely, it's a safety issue. We sometimes have a very difficult time understanding officers over the radios. Fire sometimes as well, but they're sort of difficult to hear sometimes anyway with all that equipment on. But it definitely can be a safety issue for them, and we take that very seriously. I mean, that's our family, and so we want them to be safe at the end of the day. So I'm sure that I can see you guys being on board with that, but hopefully you will support that initiative. I think that's really all I had.
I think the communication issues are troubling. You're saying that the system is just so old that you sometimes can't understand what first responders are saying in real time.
Yes, to sort of give you an idea. So the company that comes, it's out of Pittsfield, that comes to do repairs to it. And he jokingly said to us one day, and I don't think he was really joking, but he said, I actually have to go on eBay to find parts for this because you literally cannot get parts for it anymore. It's so antiquated. And so, and sometimes it's very difficult. Officers can be on Main Street and we should be able to hear them very clearly. and we have to actually have some repeat themselves, which we don't like to do because, you know, there may be one opportunity for that officer to call us and say, I'm in trouble. And if we can't understand them, it's a problem. So, yeah.
I'll speak for myself and not the whole board, but I think we should back you. We should back this. It puts not only the officers, police and fire, but also puts the community at risk.
Absolutely.
I mean, if you're asking for assistance for somebody in dire need of medical or dire need of any kind of help, and you can't understand it, and there's a delay, seconds count.
Absolutely.
So I can't see anybody fighting anybody on this. And if they do, then they don't really care about this community. So I'll put that out there so people can
We appreciate that.
digest it.
Definitely.
Good statement.
It was a very good statement.
Was the radio system on the 24 budget? Was it a line item on the budget? What, can you supply us with the details?
Yeah, it's gone, it went to council. I can explain it when I get there.
Yeah.
But is there something written,
Yeah,
spelled
it's
out?
on the council for
Okay.
Ways and Means. It'll be on the council's agenda next month for first reading and discussion.
Okay.
So,
First reading was this month, second reading.
no, it didn't.
But can you send us the details so we could, in case we'd like to go to the meeting and speak and support you? I'd love to see that if you could send it to us, please.
We definitely appreciate your support in that way.
In the recording system is, you're talking about just the verbal talking, right?
Yes.
When people call in,
Yes. So
right?
it records every phone call, every radio transmission, either between us and the fire department, us and the police department, DPW, the other city agencies that have access to radios.
In the public too, or is it the phone? Is
Phone
it?
calls, yes, 911 and business lines.
Okay, great.
It does record everything.
So it's a new system.
It's a brand new system. I think I mentioned this last month. We were very fortunate that State 911 actually basically provided a grant that would pay for that system. It was about $20,000. So, and they came yesterday. State 911 was there, and Comtech and Equiture, which is the company, all were there getting everything set up. So,
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you for the updates.
I'll just comment on that last part before you go. That's a big, huge part of accountability for, I mean, everybody's screaming accountability. That's huge for accountability for
Absolutely.
if something went wrong or there was a question of anything, the recording of everything should be crystal clear.
Definitely.
And that goes hand in hand with accountability.
Yeah. So many of those recordings end up going to court, or they go, for legal purposes. And so, yeah.
Yeah, it's another reason to have it taped and have it legible.
Quality assurance.
Absolutely. I always say there's no lying in dispatch. It's all.
You can't.
So the radio communication is that, the radio system you're talking about that desperately needs to be replaced. That's also part of being recorded too, right? The communication between you and the officers of the fire department.
Anything that's said on the radio is recorded.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
So that again comes back to the accountability issue. So if you can't hear what the officers are saying and it's recorded, then that's the other part of the problem here.
That's definitely part of it. Yes. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, police department updates.
All right.
Good evening.
Good evening. Robbie Haig, I'm the police chief. Just get out of this for you. So as far as the building updates and all that kind of stuff, the water infiltration, the contract is going to the awarding stage for $97,000. That's for the water issue in the back of the building. Be about 3 weeks or so, and then the RFP should go out for the actual dispatch center itself for $215,000 is what that's going out for. But there's 2 contracts for construction as well for $32,000 a piece approximately. That'll cover the contractor's piece. So those are with procurement, and hopefully those will be going out. Well, hopefully the infiltration one's all set today, but the other one will be going out within 3 weeks. So that's that. Hiring, we just made 2 offers to 2 individuals. One's a 10-year veteran of Amherst, and another is brand new individual, but both are either academy or academy waived. So we don't have to put anybody through the academies for these 2. We have one on an appeal right now. a third person on appeal right now. We're waiting here on that. But once that comes in, that should round us out at 34 people. And then we just go into the training phase for the other three. We are currently in the training phase, and one just got off the training phase. So we're still about 4 to 5 months away from having these people actually working on their own if everything goes well. But right now we think we've got those holes filled. We had one individual that had to leave for family reasons halfway through his training, which was unfortunate. It was one of our new hires, very, very nice individual, had family things they had to take care of. So we understand that. So that was kind of a last minute. But we were able to do interviews, and we had 2 qualified people. So those offers went out, both accepted, and now we're in the background and investigative phase for them. Outside of that, we did our update, obviously, at Ways and Means and the City Council. Last week, they did do the first reading on the radio project. What we asked for was, because we didn't want to go back to the drawing board and ask for more money, we asked to repurpose some of the money that was already allocated for the dispatch center. So we'll put things like the locker room on the back burner and worry about that another time, because the radio system is about $295,000. So we asked for a repurpose on that. So we provided all that information to council. Hopefully they'll vote positively to let us reuse some of the money that we haven't spent yet in dispatch, and that will cover the radio issue. It was brought up why we didn't plan for this. Well, as I'm sure Commissioner Jarvis will tell you, is we always plan for this and we never get funded for it. And then we get told things are end of life. Well, end of life doesn't mean you can't use it anymore. It just means you're looking on eBay for parts. And we've been in that with the Franklin County radio system for
Ever.
yeah, I couldn't even tell you, a decade or more. So that's where we're at with that. So we've been looking for grants. We've been looking for everything else. With the state paid for our 800 radios, they provided all these other things. We as a community have to pay for something, and this is what we're paying for. After that, the state maintains it. So it's just what we have to cough up to get us back to whole again. And if we can do it out of the money that's already there, like I said, we'll put other things on the back burner at the PD. That's really I have for the updates. I mean, you'll see in the Capitol, all I'm asking for this year is cruisers again. We're hemorrhaging. I sent it out on what the 5 that we're replacing are. I mean, they're going back to 13 and 14. Those are the cars we're replacing. And that's all I'm asking for in Capitol. They're about $70,000 a piece now for a hybrid cruiser. And that does not include the computer system. That's separate. So that's the only thing I'm asking for this year. I mean, we need vests, but we need cars more. Our vests will make it another year, and I'll run that in the red, and I'll figure out a way to pay for that down the road. They used to pay 100% of our vests. They pay 25% now. Reimbursement. So we have to pay 75% of it. So that is where we're at. Answer any questions for you?
I'll echo your last statement. If we can't come up with money to pay for cruisers.
And again, it keeps falling back. It should be in our operating budget. We've gone too far now. We're outside of that area. Now we have to add 100 and something thousand just to the operating budget, pay for a lease. We've already missed the window on this one. So now we have to pay for it. So it'll be about 30. It's about, so like say 70, so about 350,000 for the 5 cars.
A couple questions on the radio system. You said the state maintains what is
so
maintain?
we got under the 800 system, which happened about 2 years ago now when we switched over, right? Something like that. Had been in the works for a while. Yeah. We were on a completely different system than everybody else in the state. We all had 800s in the building through dispatch so we could communicate inside, but we didn't have 800s outside. We had so we switched over to the statewide system. And when we did that, they built the infrastructure out. They paid for the actual physical equipment. We had to pay for little things like earpieces, if we wanted specialty items for it, but they paid for the bulk pieces, which is the radios. They're very expensive, but they're typically 20-year life radios on 800s. So they provided that, and they maintain the 800 system throughout the state. So it allows you to communicate statewide. So we're now on that system. So that's what we run in our cars and on our portables now. They covered that cost. Okay. But this is to upgrade the actual system. The radio system within our building that we're now using is antiquated. It does, again, there is no parts for it. It's a bunch of Band-Aids, and at some point it's just going to shut off. So this is what we need to do to bring us up to up to a quality that's quite honestly needed. And so the state's not providing that. There's no grant from statewide 911 for that. They pay for other things. So this is what the communities had to come up with. We have a dispatch center for a little bit more money. Local towns could give up their single radio that's in their station that's never used. We don't have that option. So this is to bring our dispatch center up to that communication.
The good news though is we save millions of dollars going over the system.
Yeah.
We don't have to maintain our own antennas. We don't have to maintain generators. We don't have to, there's a lot of stuff that they took over and we just have to catch up to them. But, even though we have to front this money, we save millions of dollars by doing it.
And that's something that we need to do education about. Because of, like you said, there's a long history from low frequency to high frequency in statewide communication.
Including dispatch. Want to go back
Right.
27 years when we didn't jump on with Shelburne Control.
Right.
That's why everybody else gets it for peanuts and we're paying for our own. And they're not taking us anymore. Then we've tried.
Is the information that you sent to the council and to the councilors talk about the savings? Nobody talks about savings because you don't see it, right? But that's important to know that, look, we have to invest money in this, but in the long haul, we're saving antennas, we're not building infrastructure. I think that's an important message, as
This will be part of
Commissioner Illinois said.
Sure, at the meeting. So, yeah.
And
Literally millions of dollars.
Over time.
And the other thing that's important to me as a public safety commissioner is if we have to call for an investigation for anything, and we ask to hear the recordings and the video, we want to be able to make sure that we can hear them clearly. That's an important part of our job. So it affects everybody. That if we don't maintain a good radio system that people can hear and record on. So I just wanted to throw that statement out there. So thank you.
That's what I've got for you, and that's what I have for capital too. I mean, I said it's just cars. I mean, that's it.
We're going to talk about capital.
We're going to talk about capital on our own, yeah.
Fine, okay. I'll say my comments then.
Yep. So and if we have questions, we'll ask. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions?
Well, so you're saying you have 34 police officers.
Will have.
Yeah. Aren't we still about 10 under what defund the police would say?
No, not necessarily. So to be honest with you, 34 is the most we've had since I got here. I think when I got here, we were at probably close to 24, 25.
The defund the police website that she's talking about says we should be up to 40.
No, we should be, according to their website, but we've never been there. So we're below what they're saying we should have anyway. I mean, we've never had that. I would love that for you. That'd be great. But we've never been to that number. So when they say that, we should be at a particular number, we're still below it.
So we're 6 below what defund the police says.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And but this is the most we've had in a long time, and we're trying to do more with still what we have. That's why the question came up the other day when I presented about if we had money, if our numbers keep going in the right direction with our mental health and these programs we're doing, could we actually reduce the size of the police? And the answer is no, because we're not doing police work on some other things. We would actually move people out that are right now handling crisis and mental health calls and follow-ups with CIT. We'd have them doing police work, like motor vehicle and traffic issues and school bus issues and, other things that we can't actually do right now because we don't have anybody to do it. Because we're using it in a different manner, that's all. So.
When I was hired in 1993, we had 37 officers sworn. So we're still below 1990s levels.
I think it's important to continue the conversation and talk about what you just stated about what the police are doing on a daily basis. What are the percentages? Are they doing, what types of calls? Are they health calls? Are they check calls? Are they serious police calls? I mean, that's important to look at that data. And as you mentioned, I mean, everybody's always talking about it. The council's talking about it. The public's talking about it. So it's important to know because I don't think call volume, from what I've seen, I read in detail all the reports you give me every month, line by line, and I spend a lot of time looking at them. And calls aren't going down.
No.
Calls are
being handled.
It seems like it takes me longer and longer to go through all the calls every month and look and digest them all. So it's important to talk about what types of calls are you guys are actually attending, and I think we need to spend more time looking at that.
Well, just for an example, I sent out an email to our folks with our calls of service that come in and our self-generated calls such as training and report writing and what was the other one that I cited? Premise checks. We went from about 24,000 calls of service last year to 33,000 calls of service this year.
I'll make a broad comment, is that if you look back in any dictionary, Greenfield's always been 17 or 18,000 people dated back to the 60s. Okay? And we've done nothing, but both our agencies, both police and fire, have done nothing but take on new responsibility, new roles in the communities, and doing tenfold what they used to do. I'll date myself. Back when I started on the fire department, we did 400 calls a year for the whole department. You got shifts doing 400 calls a year. So, and I'm sure the police is the same way, that back in the day, there was maybe 10,000 calls and now you're doing 40,000 calls. So our roles in both police and fire have done nothing but snowballed over the years, and our numbers have stayed the same or gone down. And to keep this service up is just not sustainable at the rate that we're trying to provide with the money that we're trying to do it with and the personnel we're trying to do it with. 20 years ago, we were supposed to have 7 men on a shift and 7 minimum and 11 maximum 20 years ago for fire. So as you can see, that hasn't happened either. So it's just a broad stroke that people need to be aware of, that our roles in public safety has increased, and our numbers have either stayed stagnant or decreased. And at some point, it's just not going to be sustainable in keeping people sane to do the jobs and safe.
You're absolutely right, and we've been working with diversion efforts and sending calls where we have service agencies. For example, we used to pick up syringes, and now we work with Tapestry, and we call Tapestry every time a syringe needs to be picked up, the lower calls of service. We also, we talked about co-response last month, and I talked to you about diversions on that, and we've instituted 911 diversions, and we've diverted 350 calls this 9 months, in a 9-month period, this year alone, on bringing it back to the services that we already have in town. So, we're looking at that stuff, and we're trying to work with the community and deciding what is police work and what is handled by agencies that already exist in Greenfield.
I think we need to gather that data and supply it to us and other people. I think that's important data to gather. And, if people need to know that you're diverting calls, how many calls, what's the percentage?
We talked about that last month at the council.
Yeah.
Was it earlier
This month, last week.
How was that received?
Oh, very well.
Very well.
We also talked to DMH about it, and they were very impressed because we're one of the first agencies that they heard of that have been implementing 911 diversions and keeping count of them. There's other agencies that do that, but they're not keeping track of what our dispatchers doing such a good job. They're able to keep track of when they're telling somebody right from the onset, should be handled by another partner agency that we have with CSO. Or Tapestry or Recovery Project. We also work with the Opiate Task Force Connect program,
right,
and doing follow-ups for overdoses. So whenever we have an overdose, we send out a whole overdose team, void of police, that will talk to that victim and give them resources that they need so they don't have a second, or subsequent issues with overdoses. So we are very heavy in working with partner agencies. It's a big part of our community policing effort.
I want to ask the fire department too, but since you're here, can you tell us, were there any accidents or any complaints issued directly to the police department for the month of October? And would you know if there is?
Not that I'm aware of. I can confirm that information with the chief.
Okay, if you could, thank you. And just, can you, 1 minute of your perspective as the chief on how, the reorganization with the new lieutenants and the new sergeants is going, what's your perspective on that? Just quick. That's it.
happy with it, to be honest.
Okay.
Office is a lot less busy. Now we've given lieutenants tasks, but we've also cross-trained them. So we've changed shifts. So we have coverage 7 days a week lieutenants now, which we didn't have before. Put them on rotating schedules, opposite ends. But every one of them has their primary tasks that they have to do, but they know how to do the other ones if need be, which is something different. We also put in temporarily, but I think it'll probably become permanent, as an admin sergeant position, which was what Lieutenant Green was before, but he was still kind of a hybrid. He still had to handle, some other issues and things within the department. Well, this admin sergeant is now going to be our task person. It's the person that's going to handle the CRO program and DB and all our specialty type of things. So the public has a contact person to go directly to. Instead of it just getting pushed to whoever happens to be the watch commander of the day. So we're kind of restructured that way as well. So we have a lieutenant who's learning how hard accreditation is, because that's all he's doing right now. And accreditation changed this year. We got reaccredited, but it's a whole new program now. And while some of it is just some wording, you've got to make sure the words are right, and you've got to make sure the backup's there. And he's seeing real quick how much the DC was doing when he was in that position. But now we're having everybody have priorities now, which allows us to do more of what we're supposed to be doing.
Thank you for that perspective. Appreciate it, Chief. All right, thank you for your time. All right. All right, we'll move on to talking about the capital budgets as a commission. So I can verbally, I think we'll do the police first, if that's okay. So the police have asked for, the capital budget is 5 cars, 5 cruisers. Chief had mentioned they're about 50K.
No,
70K. And is that fitted out too?
That's with everything in it.
Okay, so sorry, 70K.
Except for the laptop.
Yeah, except for the laptop, so 70K.
The issue is now they're all hybrids. So that price alone, Jack, just the car itself.
350K.
So, yeah, so that's.
So the data that the chief supplied to me is, I'm not going to go through it all, but the oldest is from 2014.
Yep.
And there's there's a 2016, there's 3 that are 2017. And, they're well above the 80,000, all approaching 90,000 miles on those cruisers. So that's the data that was supplied to us to discuss.
That doesn't show you run time.
I was gonna say, that's just road miles, that's not hours.
Hours on the engine.
Yeah.
So, if you had a trooper vehicle, it might have 150,000 miles on it, but it might have less road run time than a local
Oh, yeah.
police car. So that's something we have to make clear.
Is the road, the run time.
Run time, yeah.
Chief, is there any other additional, go ahead, sorry, Deputy. Yeah.
Should also be noted that even if we order these in 2024, we wouldn't get them delivered until 2025. So if we look at those years of those cars, we have a Cruiser, it's going to be 11 years old. That it shouldn't be an online car responding to emergencies.
Okay. So the commissioners have any other questions for the department on this issue?
None, comment.
Yeah, absolutely. As many as you
I'm
want.
full of comments tonight, as you can tell. I hope that city council and the public get behind this. We just can't keep on kicking the can down the road. I've sat there in my career, holding my breath, hoping that my cruiser was going to get me to the scene, and our equipment was going to get us to the scene. We can't have police officers responding and having the cars break down halfway there, and then again putting public, putting themselves, putting their fellow officers in jeopardy, maybe in life situations, and the general public. We can't have this. We need to take responsibility and step up to the plate. And we've kicked the can. We've stepped over dollar bills to pick up quarters, and this is where it's led us down the road to be spending $350,000 on vehicles that we could have added into the budget years ago, and then it's been paying through a lease like we've been doing for years, and it's been paying off doing that. I know the fire department's rolled into that when the police department rolled into it, and now now because they've been thrown off, we're faced with this as a borrowing debt instead of a budget debt. And, yeah, we just have to stop jumping over dollar bills, pick up quarters. It doesn't make any sense. And I hate to say it, but we live in a community that's done that for years. And it absolutely is frustrating.
And that doesn't mean that we actually have all these cars in working order that we currently have. And one of the issues with the hybrids is when they have something go wrong with them, you can't get them inspected. So there's no hiding them, so they go down. So we had that issue with a couple of them where you could still drive them, but they've got a light on, so you're not getting them inspected. So you gotta wait for parts. You gotta get those cars to somewhere else because the DPW is not equipped to work on hybrids. And when that happens, especially when they're under warranty, you're sending them back to Ford for that. So we've got a couple of cars that are not on our property anymore. We've got a couple that are sitting on our property that aren't running. So that means the other cars are running around the clock.
So my comment is, so the company that I work for has thousands of men and women on the road every day. If we didn't, we wouldn't be in business. Security company. And the trucks are vital. And it's cost an awful lot of money. I have firsthand experience with this to keep a used car that's getting older and older on the road. It takes away from technician time, being able to bill, being able to do their jobs, getting stuck on the road, getting towed. So this is a general statement for the city. The city has to do a better job of having a program for all their vehicles, not just separating fire and police and maintenance and water departments. So we have to, we can't keep dumping money into these vehicles. We have to come up with a program for all departments, and the police have to be part of that. And we have to do the right thing, as Commissioner Jarvis said. So, that's my comment. And when we talk about doing a vote for a positive recommendation to the mayor, mine's going to be a yes, because we need to have the tools to do the job. It's not a police thing. It's not a fire thing. It's not a central maintenance thing. All departments need to have the tools. And one of your major tools is your vehicle. It's not a bike. It's not walking the streets. It's the vehicle. Anything else you want to add to the conversation? Yeah, so I don't know. I haven't been in this position during the capital budget before. This is the first one. We missed the budgets at the beginning when we all became new. So I think we just make either a positive or negative recommendation for that.
So we have to make a motion to forward either a positive or negative to the mayor so that they have it for preparation for the capital to.
Okay.
Because that's what our role is. I think that's spelled out in the charter that we have to either yay or nay.
Okay. So I'll ask for,
I'd like to make a motion that we give a positive recommendation for the 5 cruisers to the mayor.
Second.
Police.
Please, who did I say?
Fire. Police.
Fire, sorry, I gave you
Police.
5 more vehicles. Please.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. All right, fire department capital budget. They had 3 items. They have a tower truck, and I believe it was 2.5 million is the cost of the truck. Delivered. Ballistic vests at 74K, and a car at 52,000. So those are the 3 items. I don't think there was anything more on what we received. So any conversation about those 3 items from the public safety commissioners?
How old is the truck you want to replace?
So we have our current fleet of cruisers. The one that we're replacing, it's between 2 of them currently. We knew which one it was going to be initially. They're both 2013s. One is a used police cruiser that we reassembled into a fire cruiser that's at 120,000 miles. It was recently out of service for 5 weeks trying to solve an engine issue with it. The one that we're driving in the interim is a 2013 Escape that has had to have the entire engine rebuilt once so far, and recently when responding to a call, the engine went out of service on it.
And the truck?
Yes.
Well, you guys want a new ladder truck, right?
The ladder truck?
Tower truck.
The tower truck?
Oh, you tower. Okay.
No, I think it's good, the whole history is good.
The tower truck is a 2000 Pierce NFPA, which again makes the recommendation about the ballistic vest and NFPA 3000. Also has a standard for apparatus. They recommend 25 years maximum for an aerial. And that is what we're coming up on by the time we would get the new aerial in. There's also a number of other reasons for that replacement that I think the chief spoke to in the previous meeting.
He did. So the ballistic vests, there wasn't a quantity for that. Would you know what that quantity is?
We need to, I believe what NFPA says is we need to outfit every single member with their own ballistic vest, because prior to this, we had used grants to try to obtain some vests to outfit our apparatus. I believe it's for every member, but I would have to get confirmation from the chief on that one.
I think either the deputy or the chief can correct me on this, but I think vests have to be fitted to the person themselves.
Correct.
It just isn't a take it off the shelf, one fits all, right? Correct? They have to be somewhat fitted.
You can do it both ways.
You know,
Okay.
They're gonna tell you that they're fitting everything to you. It goes into a standard sizing. They don't cut every individual one for every individual person.
Like small, medium, large.
Yeah, I mean, there's different side panels, there's different, but they're already made. So
Okay.
it's not, they just fit you to a general size and then that's what you're getting. And then the carrier comes and they're all adjustable.
A little adjust taken here, to let out there,
Exactly.
usually let out there.
All of them. They always come up.
Very few still fit in the same vest.
Let out. Yeah, it's funny, the vest, not funny that we have to wear vests, but I went to a seminar about 20 years ago, again, at Deerfield Academy. I think it was from the Connecticut State Police, Mass State Police, FBI. And, the FBI's comment to the fire folks in the room was, there's gonna be a day that you guys are gonna have vests. And I went, yeah, right, I'm going the other way if people are shooting. But, the reality of today's society we all live in is that you're going to be in harm's way if you're trying to assist, even though I know the PD would do their best to keep our guys safe and keep us away, but there's tasks that have to be performed, and there's bad people out there, so we have to keep our folks safe.
The new standards, just to let you know, the new standards allow for firefighters to go into what we call warm zones.
Yeah.
But before, when you worked, you were kept in the cold zone. There's zero chance of any type of harm. Now we're bringing firefighters closer to where the victims are. And even though it's secured, it's not completely secured. So they're in a little bit more of a dangerous situation.
I had thought, was there a talk last meeting about helmets too, or you have helmets, but I thought it was helmets and vests, wasn't it, for ballistic
I have to check
protection?
on that. I know typically that is the standard for ballistic protection is a helmet and a vest, but I'd have to check with the chief to see if both are contained in that proposal.
Okay. On the ladder, I will say that I know when I left, we were at the 20-year mark, just before I was leaving, we were looking into a ladder and it was 1.6 million. So the cost hasn't, you can see I've been gone 9 years now. Okay. Yeah, almost 9 years. So you can see how much it's grown in 9 years. It's gone up 1.1 million. If we put it off like longer and longer and longer, it's just going to be a snowball effect, and we could end up spending $3 million on a crucial piece of equipment that needs to be replaced. Because I remember the bills that used to come in on that, because that was part of my job as deputy chief was maintenance on that. And I can imagine what the bills are on it now, because it was constantly breaking down. So that needs to be replaced. It's not only a requirement for Greenfield for our insurance rating, but it's also a vital piece of equipment that we need for life and safety for the citizens of Greenfield. So all these will have my backing.
And what was the life expectancy of the tower? Is it 25 years?
Maximum allowed time frame by NFPA is 25 years. That's the maximum.
And when you go to the council, or if you have gone to the council, are you talking about the maintenance costs? Do you have the total amount of maintenance costs that this tower that we have now is costing the city?
Yeah, I believe last meeting the chief presented what the maintenance costs were over even just the last year alone, as well as that out of service time due to that maintenance over the last year. So that's the other cost there too, is a truck that large and that specialty requires specialty service that can take a lot of time. And it being the only one of its kind in the city, when it's out of service, it's out of service.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments from commissioners?
I'm sorry.
No, go
I
ahead.
just wanted to know that the chief did speak on last month, and I just wanted to remind people and people that might be listening that he did, that he's been doing cost savings measures over the years and doing some frugal spending on other equipment and combining equipment, as I'm saying equipment as pieces of apparatus. In preparation for this, so it wouldn't be such a big nugget to swallow. So I just wanted to remind people about that.
It's been like a 10+ year planning process, I
Yeah.
believe.
So, sorry, David.
No, that's okay. I mean, I'm okay. I would like there to be more conversation based around ballistic equipment that we have to invest in as a city, you know, both from the police and the fire departments. I think that's only going to increase, and it'd be nice to get I wish we spent a little more time having that conversation for both departments, but it is what it is. So that was my only comment. I agree that, as Commissioner Jarvis said, is something that we have to invest in and talk about, but I want to make sure we're doing it for both departments and we're doing it right for the future. That's all I wanted to say. All right. Do folks feel like they're ready to make a recommendation?
I'll move that we support the capital request of the fire department as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, great. Thank you for the good questions. All right, on to the last subject. We're not going to talk a whole ton about it, but I wanted to update the commissioners. Last month, we talked about the Public Safety Commission coming up with a written procedure for us to look at investigating complaints for the departments. I know that Commissioner Burge had mentioned that Springfield has a manual. I did print the manual. I'll send you all, I didn't send it out to you folks. I did read through it. I think there's a lot of good information in here. I don't think it's so easy as for us to copy and paste the document. There's stuff that they do that we're not going to do. So I just would ask for you all to start looking at this so we can really, at our meeting, start talking in depth about that. And I'll send this to you all. I also found a couple of other documents that I thought had some really good information. One of them is this best practices guide that I found from the International Association of Chief of Police. There's a lot of good information on it, and it's got a really decent checklist to look at when you get a complaint. You could start checking, checklist off. Did you receive it? Is it legible? Does it have all the pertinent information? So I'll send this to you. If you could read this and we could start talking about it to develop our own process. And then I also read some information from there's a document called the Citizens Review of Police. It's from the U.S. Department of Justice. It's a really long document. But it does have a lot of good information about how other cities and states handle complaints and how the public is involved with reviewing. When I mean public, I mean agencies like public safety commissions help out reviewing that, and it's actually a cost savings to both the fire and police departments. And this isn't just about, these documents are based around police. I want to make this statement that this document we're creating isn't for just the police. It's for our fire department, our EMS, and the police department. But the police board seem to have a lot of information on this. So it's not just about police departments. So those are the three documents that I found. I also, thanks to Deputy Gordon, I was in touch with this gentleman, Alfred Donovan, Thank you for that, Deputy. He is a consultant. He works for a consulting firm. He does a lot of trainings for all sorts of subjects, for police departments, police investigations, and dispatch. He does a lot of programs for dispatch, for stress, and he's got a lot of information. I believe you had mentioned that you might know, the gentleman. He kind of knows you. So he's offered to not have a course for us, but assist us if we have any questions or we have any details. He lives on the North Shore of Massachusetts, but he's also a resource for us that can help us out. And he might even be willing to join a call and look at our document once we complete it to say, that looks great. Did you ever think about this? So I wanted to throw this all out there to the commissioners so we could start to read and study and start talking about coming up with our process. So any questions for me with respect to any of this?
Nope, I read the Springfield one, you're right. It's not a cookie cutter, it's gonna take some time developing this, and there's, me being on the other side of the coin was when I was the union president for the union, so there's all sorts of things that need to be taken in consideration when we develop this. Because I remember this commission was brand new when I was the president, and we were talking about hiring and appointments and scoring and stuff like that. And yeah, so it's a very lengthy process for it to go through. So I just want people to be aware of that it's, that we have to meet a certain criteria here. So not just formulating a document and saying, there it is. So we have to make sure our T's are crossed and our I's are dotted, but we do need something.
Any other comments on that? I think it's a good positive step that we're making. I'll send the information out and we could start to discuss it in detail. All right, great. All right, I don't think we have to go into an executive session. Do any commissioners feel we have to go into executive session for any reason? All right, motion to adjourn.
So moved, Jarvis.
Second?
Second.
All right, all in favor? Aye. Meeting is over. Thank you for attending.
I don't know why we have to ask.